So this is a right cylinder, what we're used to seeing, and this would be an oblique cylinder. What's the difference? Yeah, one's leaning, it's slanted, okay? So we still can do things with the oblique cylinder as long as we use the appropriate height. So when we're talking about the lateral area and the surface area of a right cylinder, we're doing the same thing that we did yesterday. If we want to know what the lateral area is, we have to think about what's the base, and we're going to take the perimeter of the base times the height of the whole cylinder. And then if we want to find the total surface area, we want to get the perimeter of the base times the height to get the label of the can, but then we have to add 2 of the bases. So we're going to add the area of 2 circles. Okay? So not just the label of the can, but the top and the bottom. So your lateral area is the area of the faces that connect the 2 bases together. It's the label of your can or your bottle. And the formula for finding the lateral area, you can use the same formula that you used for your prisms, but you have to remember what perimeter means. What does perimeter mean? The outside, the distance around, right? So how do you find the distance around a circle? Radius times 2 times pi, or the circumference, okay? So you can substitute mentally, or you can write it from the beginning as 2 pi r for the circumference times the height of the cylinder. Okay. The total surface area means that we're taking that lateral area that we just found, and we're going to add the 2 bases. And the bases are circles. How do we find the area of a circle? Not quite. Area of a circle is pi times area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, so not 2 pi r this time, it's going to be pi r squared. Okay, so you can think of this as 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared, or you can think of it as the same thing we did yesterday, the perimeter times the height plus 2 bases, where the capital B means we've calculated the area of a base, and the capital P means we've calculated the perimeter. They're not a single number. You actually have to do some math to get it. Questions so far? All right, so here we go. Now we've added some dimensions here, and we're trying to find the lateral area first. So L equals PH, or the circumference times the height. How do we find the circumference of this particular circle? 11 times 2 times pi. And then what is the height of the cylinder? 10. It joins the 2 bases. So 22 pi times 10 is going to get us 220 pi. And there's no need to break out a calculator. You can leave that in its exact form. Okay? There's no need for a decimal. This is the exact value. So far, so good? Okay? So that was the label from the can. We took the circumference of the base times the height of the whole can, and that's just the label that you would peel off. The surface area, the lateral area. Now when you want to find the surface area, that means that we need to find the hold on for 1 second. Let's go ahead and find, if I'm keeping up with your sheet, the next thing we say is let's find the area of the base, because we're going to use that in just a moment. So the base is a circle. How do you find the area of a circle? Radius squared times pi, or 2 pi r. or pi r squared. Nope, eventually. One base is going to be pi times 11 squared. What's 11 squared? So we have 121 pi. So when we want to find the total surface area, we take the perimeter times the height plus 2 of these bases. So the perimeter times the height was 220 pi. We just substitute that in. And we want 2 of these 121 pi's. I ran out of space. So 2 times 121 is 242. And then we add the 220 pi, right? And we get 462 pi meters squared. Not so bad, right? Questions on this one? Okay. So we'll do one more of the same type. Get one more set of practice going. Yep, I'm sorry. I thought everyone was finished ready. Okay, Josh? Go to the nurse. Okay. All right, so far so good? All right, so the next one, we're going to find the perimeter, which is the same thing as the circumference. And they gave us a radius, so we'll use the 2 pi r formula. So 2 times pi times 2.5 is going to get us 5 pi. So the lateral area is the perimeter times the height, so 5 pi times 8, 40 pi. And we have feet, so we'll say feet squared. There's no need to multiply 40 times your pi button on your calculator. We can leave it in exact value. Okay. Next, we need to find the base. So what's the area of the base going to be? Pi r squared, so pi times 2.5 squared. And 25 squared is 625, so 2.5 squared will be 6.25. So 6.25 pi is one circle's area. We're going to have to multiply that by 2. Total surface area is our pH plus 2 b's. So we're taking 2 times the 6.25, or 12.5. And our pH was 40 pi. So if I add 40 pi to 12.5 pi, we get 52.5 pi. There is a lot of pi, and that's okay. We like pi because it makes it easier. We don't deal with a lot of decimals that way. Leave it in terms of pi. Okay? Feeling good? No? Easier than yesterday? The nice thing about cylinders is you're only dealing with circles, so you don't have to worry about apophthegms or how many sides a polygon has or a trapezoid or a triangle. You're only dealing with this one type of base. Make sense? All right. Ready for the next one? Okay. So volume is nothing more than how much space is it taking up. How much soda is in that can? How much soup is in that can? How much water is in the water tower? Okay? How much cheese is in that wedge? So we want to know what's the volume of the cylinder. To find the volume, we can do the same thing that we did yesterday. Take the area of the base times the height. So we're taking the area of the base times the height. Once more, the base is a circle. So if you want to think of this as pi r squared times h, you can do that. And so if we want the volume of this particular figure, we're going to take pi times the radius squared times the height of the cylinder. What's the radius? 4 squared is 16 pi. What's the height of the cylinder? So 16 times 12, 192 pi. Centimeters cubed. We took centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. Questions on this one? Volume's pretty easy with these. Pi r squared h every time. Area of the base times the height. Okay, so Cavaliere's principle again says it doesn't matter if we have a slanted or a right cylinder, the volume's going to be the same. So we have to be careful though. We can't use the slant height. We have to use the perpendicular height, the height that's perpendicular to the base. So we would use the 5. What's that? They put the 7 there as a distractor to confuse you. Okay? So we would still do pi r squared h, the area of the base times the height, but we have to use the 5, not the 7 for your height. Make sense? Okay? Can we keep moving, or do you want to see this one worked out? Keep moving? Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay. So now we may give you one like this for practice as well. I don't think I'll put one of these on the test, but it's good to practice things that are more difficult. So have you ever been to Hy-Vee and seen their great big giant wedges of cheese when they're sampling cheese? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about a chunk of cheese being taken out. Kind of looks like Pac-Man, only it's in 3D. Okay? So if you want to find the volume of the cylinder here, or the volume of this big giant wedge of cheese, what we do is we say, hey, what percentage of this cheese do we have? 90 degrees is gone. So how much is left? 270 degrees. Okay? So we've got 3/4 of our wedge still there, don't we? So we have 3/4 of the volume. We would take 3/4 times our area of our base times our height, or our pi r squared h. So we would take 3/4 times pi times 4 squared times the height of the cylinder, which is 10. And we would have our answer. So it ends up being, if you work it out, 40 pi. Oh no, I did it the wrong way. It's going to be not 90 out of 360, but we want to know 270. So 3 times 120 pi. Exactly. Okay. Feeling good? All right. So here's one of the missing measure problems. And then we have your assignment coming up. So we want to find the missing measure if the volume is 231 cubic centimeters. Okay? So in our V equals the area of the base times the height, this is the V. We know how much volume we have. We don't know how tall that cylinder is. Okay? So 231 is equal to the area of the base times the height. What's the radius? 3.5, so we're going to square 12.25. So 12.25 times pi times h. So how do we get the h all by itself? We have to divide by 12.25. And what else? Also the pi. So you have to be careful when you do that to make sure that you either put parentheses around the 12.25 pi when you divide it, or that you do 231 divided by 12.25, press your equal sign, and then do a divide by pi. And we get 5.976, so 6 equals our height. Just rounding up. We're going to go to one decimal place if we end up having to have decimals. Most of the time, everything's going to be in terms of pi. So no decimals needed. Feeling good? Okay, here comes the assignment. Good question.